There we go. Perfect.
All right, so I just started a live on this one, but no one's going to join in that fast, so we'll wait. That's
How's
good.
that, Coach?
That was
I
good.
like it. Yeah.
Okay.
Bring it a little bit closer just to try to get the.
Yes, sir.
Because you're not going to move this back.
Yeah. Yeah, come on. That's even better.
Now you got it framed.
Okay.
That's perfect.
Yeah. This one. All right. We're going live. You guys ready?
Yes.
Okay. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And welcome to Patriot Weekly, Week 2. Doug Amos along with the head football coach of the Pike Road Patriots, Granger Shook. Granger, good to see you, man.
Doug, I appreciate you.
Absolutely. We are in the beautiful weight room here at Pike Road. Maybe a little bit later in the program, we may show you a little bit of it. I bet your guys see a lot of it already.
They do, probably more than they like sometimes. But yes.
We're going to have a good time today. The Patriots came up short in Wetumpka last Friday night to 7A Prattville, 41-37. It was a shootout. Couldn't have been a more exciting game in the area, but it didn't turn out like you hoped it would.
No, but again, I think it's going to allow us to grow a lot of learning opportunities in that game, Doug. We didn't play our best in special teams. I thought offense and defensively, I thought we played well enough to win at times. Coach Wallace did a heck of a job getting his team ready. Those boys earned that victory. But again, I think our team has learned from it. I was proud of the way we finished the game. We scored late with less than 5 seconds. Our kids didn't give up, but again, it's not the way we wanted to start the season.
I know you spent some time in Prattville.
Yes.
I didn't know if you knew some of those young men when they were in grade school, elementary school,
Well, I knew some of their older brothers. Some of them came to me before the game.
Is that right?
I said, "Hey, I'm so and so. I'm Sam's younger brother, or I'm, Darius's younger brother." But I did know several guys on staff. It was great to see them before. It's bittersweet. I think that's a much improved ball club. That's a tough region they're in Birmingham, 7A. But Coach Wallace has those boys playing hard like he always does. But again, I think our guys came in here Sunday motivated, ready to get better. And I think we'll see a much improved team tomorrow night.
Nobody knows any better than you that these early games provide you opportunities to get better.
Right.
Last year was a perfect example of that. You lose the first two, you learn a lot about your team. Your guys learn what it takes to win at this level. You got a tough one this coming Friday night. We'll get to it in a little while. But talk to me about this. What kind of shock value do you have to deal with as a head coach when you have a negative special teams play right out of the gate? I believe they returned the opening kickoff for a touchdown.
Yes.
So how do you deal with that to make sure that doesn't knock you guys down?
Well, again, it's just something that we practice, or we try to, go through and practice as far as sudden change, as far as putting our defense in a bad spot or our offense in a bad spot. But it's just hard to replicate that in practice as opposed to a Thursday or Friday night. But again, our boys rallied. We took it on the chin on the opening kickoff, but we came back and went ahead. And we were actually ahead all the way through the game until late in the fourth. But again, those boys found a way. Our kids have learned from that game. And again, I look forward to going against a very good Enterprise team tomorrow night.
A tradition-rich Enterprise team, just like Prattville, another tradition-rich high school football team. And that's what you're trying to build here at Pike Road. I mean, you won a state championship this program has a few years back, but things are a lot different now in 6A. So what were you able to do this week at practice to work on that perhaps you weren't able to do last week before you had film of a real game?
Well, again, we were able to show our guys themselves first live competition. And I think our boys saw that we won a lot of those matchups. I mean, we won a lot of them. However, there were crucial times to where we may not have given the effort we needed to, or we may have gotten out of our lane, or we may have, dropped the ball, or we may have gotten out of our gap on defense. When we did what we were supposed to do, our boys saw success. However, we tell them all the time, there's 5, 6, 7 plays in a game that dictate the game. That we just don't know when they're coming. And, our opponent was able to take advantage of them, and we weren't. But again, my hat's off to them. I thought our boys played a very hard-fought, physical game, and it's definitely one that we will get better from.
A little bit later in the program, we'll visit with senior wide receiver Jordan Gray and senior defensive lineman Corey Sims. Both played well the other night for you.
Yes.
Your senior class continues to show leadership. I know you're looking at them now with the result this past Friday, heading into somewhat of a lion's den on Friday night. The whole town of Enterprise rolls the sidewalks up for high school football.
Absolutely. Corey and Jordan have done a great job, not only this season, but throughout the summer, being good leaders for us and leading by example. Jordan always has a charismatic, contagious smile on his face, and Corey has done a great job of anchoring that defensive line. So, again, excited for what these two guys can do for us. But, yes, Coach Ben Blackman Enterprise, he's been successful everywhere he's been. He comes from a coaching family. His son is a senior on this team. So, there's a lot riding on this season for him and his son. And so, Enterprise, like you said, they are where we want to be. I think Pike Road wants to be in 20, 25 years. We are a young program, so to speak, but I do think we have the athletes. I think we have the leadership. I think we have the staff to go toe-to-toe with those guys. And so I'm excited that our boys have another opportunity on Friday night.
Ben's older brother, a coach on Central Florida staff.
Yes.
Formerly at Troy, and he was the head coach at Opelika for a long time. It is a family that's well foundationalized in the city of Montgomery. I know your family's known them a long time too.
That's right. And our offensive coordinator, Jonathan Chandler, is from Opelika. Brian and Ben were on that staff. There's a lot of ties. Ben and I have coached together in different areas. And so there's some good friendships. There'll be some good talks before the game. There'll be some hugs after the game. But during the game, there's going to be some heated matchups, and so I'm excited for that.
I'm with you. It's going to be a lot of fun. That game is in Enterprise. If you're planning on going, don't plan on showing up at game time.
No.
Because if you plan on showing up at game time, my guess is you're going to be there at halftime because that's the way it works in Enterprise.
It is, man.
Talk about your scheduling philosophy. The two games you played last year in the pre-region games were against two of the best teams, in one in our state and one in another state. This year, you got Prattville 7A that's up and coming. We knew that JB would put a good product on the field. Now you get Enterprise. What exactly is the mindset that you're using when you're scheduling these games?
Well, we have several players that are not as battle tested yet as we want them to be. And I think they'll be the first to acknowledge that. It's not their fault. It's nobody's fault. It just is what it is. And so trying to schedule teams that are playoff caliber teams. And that's what Prattville is. That's what Enterprise. That's what they both are. They're playoff caliber teams. So when we get in that second, third round game on the road, that's what these environments are going to simulate. And so when we check out of school early and we load up on the bus and we go somewhere and do a pregame walkthrough, we do our pregame meetings at a different environment, and then we load the bus and then we go to a hostile environment that Enterprise is going to be. When we do that in round 3, it won't be the same. It won't be any different than what we've done already. Sure. And so just trying to prepare our young men for that environment.
So as we kind of wrap up what went on in Wetumpka against Prattville, talk about who played well individually, who you think was the key players for you out there Friday night.
Well, again, I think offensively, we have a lot of really good leadership up front. I thought our offensive line did a good job of establishing the line of scrimmage. I think we can continue to lean on them as the season progresses. I thought our running back, Jermichael Jones, I thought, Q Robinson, I thought Patrick Carter, I thought those three guys really did a good job of establishing the run. Casey, it took him a little while to get settled in, but once he did, man, I thought he found his targets. I thought Omari Smith, Jordan Gray's here tonight because he had some good catches. I thought there was several guys who did a really good job on offense. When you score 37 points, you have played well enough to possibly win the game. And so I'm proud of our offense. I'm proud of Coach Chandler and the plan they put in place. Defensively, it's just one of those things where, we had our back against the wall most of the night. There are several stats throughout that game that I shared with our young men on Sunday that a lot of people don't take notes of. But our starting field position in the first half was the -30.
Wow.
Prattville's starting field position in the first half was the +45.
I mean, that's hard to stay competitive.
It is.
They're starting on your side of the field.
Yes. And then we made some very uncharacteristic penalties in that game. I had 2 scrimmages leading up with officiating crews here. We had maybe 2 penalties. We had a lot more than that. I'm embarrassed to even say it. It was double digits in penalties, 120 yards in penalties. So all those are excuses, but Prattville capitalized on it. But I say that to say we have emphasized penalties this week. We've emphasized, where the field position is on special teams, pinning them deep, making sure that we understand the situation on both sides of the ball and playing smart. But again, I think our fans will see a much improved Pike Road team this week. And I know our boys are eager and hungry to show what we really are.
I know Jordan and Corey are here. We'll talk to each of them in just a moment. But have you seen the leadership from the upperclassmen, the ones that were here last year that got off to a slow start, but then put together 11 straight wins to get to the semifinals of the playoffs? Have they stood up and been talking to a lot of the younger kids that, hey, one game does not define us?
Yes, I think the leadership on this team has done a great job this week of not only leading by example, but trying to be more verbal. I do hear guys in our flex lines. I hear guys in the weight room. I hear guys during team meetings, being vocal and trying to make sure that our team is focused on what the little things are to make us successful. And so I'm encouraged by that. Again, we're going into week 2. I've told them for a long time that this is a marathon and not a sprint. And so, we're nowhere near where we need to be right now. But again, if you peak in week 2, you're in trouble. It's probably going to be a long year. And so, again, I'm excited for what the product will be tomorrow night, but I'm even more excited of what I see coming down the road.
Talk about your young men that are helping us put together Patriot Weekly this year. You've got some guys that are in school here that have expertise that you and I don't have when it comes to this type thing.
Absolutely not.
They're helping us out, and give them a little, give them their due.
My man Kabir is here tonight. He goes above and beyond. I know our players love seeing him at practice. He does.
That means the video's coming out.
He's very creative. Way more creative than I am with what he's able to do with a phone, with a camera. And so I know our guys love seeing him. I know there's some other students, Jackson and Jacob, who will also be with us. But Josh Martin has really done a great job of spearheading the whole social media effort for Pike Road. I know we have a great, imprint or footprint on social media here in Central Alabama. And Josh has done a great job of expanding on that. And so those guys have really taken this to another level, and I'm excited about
So like the football team and it progressing throughout the year, so will Patriot Weekly. Last week we were at the ballpark and we had some issues. Who knew that they wouldn't let me play the Eagles song? So be it. We got cut off a little bit. Now we've got our wireless mics. We're getting filmed, and I think we're live tonight on Instagram and Facebook. So, and in the future, we're going to have little things interjected in the show so you don't get stuck on our faces, and you'll get to see some of the work that a lot of these kids are doing in the program, and maybe some video of them in the weight room, and maybe even, who knows, a video or two of some of the games. So we'll have a lot of opportunities to do some creative things. Until then, you think as he and I've been together for a handful of years now.
Yes.
Last year, the first year with Pike Road, the shows have been an hour long on the radio. We're not doing that anymore. We're doing it this way so you can see us and we can be a little bit more creative in what we're bringing you. So this year, for now, the show won't be a full hour. It'll be done when it's done. And then when we get a little bit more structure to it and we all kind of touch base and see where we're going, then we'll kind of spread it out and play it out for an hour long. You good with that, Coach?
Absolutely.
I hate telling a coach things like that or asking him because he knows more than I do. But that's the way we're going to do it. We are about to take a break, though, Granger.
Yes.
If you'll allow us, we're going to get Corey Timms in here, visit with him. 3 sacks the other night against the Prattville Lions. This guy, the state leader, only has 4.
There we go.
And he got 3 the other night. He's going to be a stalwart on that Pike Road defensive front. It's Patriot Weekly. Again, work with us. Nothing to go to right now. We're just going to make a little change on the set, and we'll come back and visit with the senior defensive lineman right after this.
Thank you, Bill.
Three,
Hey.
2, 1.
See how that worked? Quick change on set. Granger will join me toward the end of the show. Right now, though, we're visiting with Corey Timms. He's a guy that played quite well the other night against Prattville. 3 sacks and some other good plays. And you've been on this team 3 years now, Corey. You know last year's team got off to a slow start. You know that doesn't mean anything. It's how you get there. It's not how you start. Talk about the team and where the mindset is for this Pike Road team heading into the Enterprise game.
Well, we're playing a really good team, and it's not really a mindset. It's about our focus during the week. We had a lot of good practices. We had 2-a-days. We had a great film session with our coaches and all that. And I feel like that really got us prepared for the game, and we're pretty much battle ready right now. So
I like that. So compare that, if you would, Corey, to what like game week was the first week when you really didn't know what to expect. You had a lot of unanswered questions. Do you feel the team's better prepared this week than they were for Prattville week?
yes, sir. We came in the Prattville game thinking it was going to be a cakewalk for some odd reason, but this week we really got our focus locked in because we see that if we think less of an opponent, then they're going to kick our teeth in, as Coach Lowry said. But this week we've been real focused on beating them, and hopefully we can.
Talk about your play. You got the 3 sacks. You made some other plays. How did you feel about how you played, and what do you think you need to do better against Enterprise?
I feel like I did pretty good against a solid offensive line. I do give them their props. They got a good few players over there at Prattville. But I feel like my goal for Enterprise is to really just try and be a team player, get my jobs and do my assignments right. I feel like it's going to be harder for me this week because they do have a great offensive line. Desmond, he's real good. And I feel like it's just going to be harder for the defense in general, like as a whole. If we sit up here and do our job right, then we'll be good. But if we don't, then they'll bust for a big play. They got some good athletic players on their offense, but we also got good athletic players on our defense as well.
Here's one thing that I know Coach Shook would back me up on this. When you look at a scoreboard, you see 41-37, your immediate thought is the defense didn't play well. You heard Granger, though, Coach Shook talk about they've started at your guys' 35-yard line on average. I know they had a kickoff return for a touchdown. I think there was a punt that touched one of your players that they recovered deep in your territory. So that probably doesn't sit well with the defensive player when there's 41 up on the board, yet you guys know you played better than that defensively.
Yes, sir, most definitely. I mean, it's just a team game,
Sure.
We can't really blame anybody
Right.
for real. So it's always our fault, and it's going to be us as a team. We're not taking it on the chin and blaming one person.
So you're a senior. We'll visit with another senior here shortly. What are some of the things you've said and needed to say in the locker room this week? Maybe when the coaches aren't around, maybe when it's just you guys walk into class or whatever, to try to get that. You said it's not a mindset. It's kind of a, I forget what you use, but you guys seem to be more energized for this week than you were a week ago.
Yes, sir. Since we're playing the top 3 team in the state, then it's really a lot I said, but it's a lot I couldn't say. You know what I mean?
I understand.
So,
I do.
But really, it's just trying to get everybody on the same track. We're one team, we're one family. We can't depend on everybody else. You know what I mean? So it's like I've said, we had to lock in a few times. Stop all the playing and laughing. It's always a time and a place for laughter and playing. But when we step inside this field house and we step on the field with Enterprise, it's not a playing time. It's a go time.
Tell me about your man, Jordan Gray. We're going to visit with him in a minute. Coach called him a very energetic, creative kind of dude.
Yes, sir. Jordan, my guy. When I first transferred to Pike Road, my 10th grade year, he showed me the ropes. He was always the one to spat my cleats, always the one to do the little designs and stuff.
I love it.
But he's a
Mike, I need to get him to do something on my shoes.
he's a real good guy. He's real fun to be around, real energetic and all that. He's just all around a good vibe.
Well, I can tell you're a good vibe too, buddy. And I'm so appreciative of you joining our show. Good luck Friday night. And my guess is that you'll be back with us on Patriot Weekly sometime later.
Yes, sir. I hope so.
You bet. That's senior defensive lineman Corey Timms. He had 3 sacks against the Prattville Lions, and he's going to try to get after some Wildcats coming this Friday night in Enterprise. We're back with the creative one, the wide receiver that had a good game the other night right after this. All right, back to Patriot Weekly. We're in the room that the weights get lifted and pounded around here, where these guys are getting stronger and stronger every single day that they're in the weight room. And we move from the defensive side of the ball and Corey Timms to Jordan Gray, a senior wide receiver. He was propping you up, man. He was telling me all about it. You welcomed him to the Pike Road family. Apparently, you do a lot of the designs on the shoes. I'll be bringing you some soon, there, young man. But tell me what you think about this guy, this big guy that's making plays on defense.
He always run the ball. He always gonna get a sack and everything. He busts through the offensive line. He's gonna get the play. He's gonna sack him. So he's a great kid, great student athlete, everything. Great classmate to be around, everything.
And that's what you need on a team, because it's not all roses, right? There's going to be tough times, good times. You got to have guys you can depend on in the tough times, right? And Friday night, I know y'all went to Wetumpka expecting to win. You didn't win. But from what I've heard, starting with Sunday, you got right back on the horse and you're ready to give it another go to this week in Enterprise.
We've been working hard. Sunday, watching film, doing everything. Listen to our coaching staff, they doing great. Teaching us the little things, getting the team all together, coming as a family, everything. And just trying to focus on this second game.
I believe this. I know you got a good running game. I know the running back. I've seen them. I know the kid can run. But I think y'all can have a really good passing game too. I think a slow start from what Coach Shook told us, but talk about the passing game and what you think the ceiling is for it.
Our passing game is going to be good. We just got to get in our flow. We got Amari Smith and Elias Hoseclaw, the upcoming receivers, and we got Lee and Mason Hudson. We can get in our groove and play our game.
And Kason Myers, we know, is capable of getting y'all the ball, man, where you need to get the ball. How important, though, is it, and you're a team guy, you understand, that you get really good contributions both on the ground and in the air. You can't be one-dimensional and win at the level y'all are planning on winning at.
So you got to do both. You got to catch the ball in the air, and when it's ball low, you got to go get the ball. You know, we got to do it as a team player. We got to focus on what we got to realize the play call is.
I know you felt good about how you played. You should feel good about it. You're a senior. What are some of the things you've said in the locker room to these guys coming off a tough loss?
You know, we just got to focus. We got to bounce back next week. You know what I mean? And we just got to play our heart out, and we just got to focus on where we got our play calls and stuff like that.
Well, here's what I know. I know that you're going to play well. I know you're going to play hard. I can already tell enough about you and Corey that you guys are kind of the energy guys on both sides of the ball. I wish you the best Friday night, buddy. Thank you. That's Jordan Gray, a senior wide receiver. He will be on the field when the Pike Road Patriots take on the Wildcats Friday night. 7 o'clock is the kickoff of that game in Enterprise. Again, if you're planning on going, don't plan on getting there at 7. You need to plan to be there early because there will be tons of people there at the field. I can promise you. We'll be back with Granger Shook again. We'll talk some more about this game ahead and what he sees transpiring in Enterprise on Friday night. You're watching Patriot Weekly here on Instagram Live. You know, I'm always impressed with these Pike Road football players that Coach Shook brings to our show. That was a full boat last year. Every single young man that came did such a great job, and you'd be happy to know that the two young men tonight did equally as well.
Awesome. Well, I'm very proud of these men on and off the field. Again, we challenge them all the time about being leaders, not only on the field but in the classroom. So I think they are really being intentional with trying to do that. And again, my hat's off to them. We ask a lot out of them, and they keep coming back day in and day out and trying to please. And again, our boys are just such a pleasure to be around.
So we put to bed the Prattville game. Let's look ahead now. Enterprise, we've talked about them, but let's get more specific about them. I remember back in my day, they had one of the most punishing ground attacks. I mean, they would literally, I don't know what Ben's style of play is now, but I know Bill Bacon, who's in the High School Hall of Fame, that's what he did back in the day. So tell us about this Enterprise team.
Well, they big senior class. They have 5 seniors up front. Again, talked about Ben's son being a senior. He's a tight end. They have, a quarterback that's come in. He's an older player. I think he's a junior, but they have a very not only senior rich offense but also a defense. And so they got one of the best players in Alabama High School Athletic Association as a safety. He's committed to Auburn. But again, it's going to be a great test for us. They are physical up front. They are. Again, but I think Corey and Gavin, Jalen, I think Derek, I think all those guys, Akeem, I think our D-line is going to, have a great test in front of them. And I can't wait to see how they respond tomorrow night because it's going to be a slugfest. It's going to be a 3rd round, 4th round type contest for us on the road. I don't know what what Coach Blackman has in store, for his guys. I think we got a good game plan. I know week 2, there's always some still unknowns going into it. You've always saved something in your back pocket. I know Ben has, and so it's going to be a fun night. Cat and mouse game, so to speak, for both teams.
Kind of a different look than the Prattville game. I mean, I have a feeling that you feel your team's going to have to play better than it did last Friday night to get a big win on the road against Enterprise.
Absolutely, yeah. We can't have 13 penalties. We can't give Enterprise field position on the plus 40, 45 in the first half, and expect to be ahead at halftime. We just can't do that. They are a very good team. Again, just like us, Enterprise will be improved from week 1 to week 2. They beat a very good Andalusia team. Coach Trent Taylor, he's in the Hall of Fame already. So Andalusia is a very good team in their own right. But Enterprise is going to be sound in all 3 phases: offense, defense, and special teams. And again, it's going to be a great test for our boys. And I can't wait to see how we compete against one of the best teams in the state tomorrow night.
Let's talk about this as we wrap up. These 2 games, albeit against big type traditional programs, Prattville and Enterprise, no matter win, lose, draw, whatever, don't do anything when it comes except getting you more prepared for region games. Rehoboth is the next week. As big as these 2 are, neither are as big as Rehoboth, and that's a region game.
Well, yes, you are right in a certain sense, and I talked to several of our seniors this past week about we have got to take every game like it's
you can't circle games.
The
That's
championship
all.
game.
Every game you got to have the
matters.
same energy and the
Yes.
same effort.
Yes, but you're right about region starts next week.
Right.
But we need a great showing tomorrow night to create positive momentum
Absolutely.
going into region play.
Absolutely, because I remember last year you felt, even though you lost game 2, you felt you made improvement, and you felt that you were ready for the region schedule, and that's what you want to see Friday night in Enterprise.
Exactly. I want to see our boys be more physical. I want to see us, more importantly than that, I want to see us be more disciplined and execute in all 3 phases, not just offense and defense, but I want us to execute in all 3 phases like I know we can. And if we do that, our boys, we're going to have a great opportunity to be successful.
Do you, in the way you coach, do you buy into the thought that there should be a lot of improvement from week 1 to week 2?
Absolutely. I think, you can scrimmage all you want to in the preseason, but until you play another opponent, you really don't get to see exactly who you are. And so we saw who we were. We saw glimpses of it. And I think our boys saw what we need to improve on. And more important than that, they bought in to our practice this past week. I truly believe we got better each day. I really do believe that. And that gives me a lot of confidence and a lot of optimism going into tomorrow night.
Coach, go get them, man.
Thank you, brother.
I look forward to being with you again next week. Patriot Weekly, we are absolutely getting off the deck and making this thing happen. We're excited about it, excited to have the student involvement this year. It's something we haven't had in years past, and I'm all about that. So for Granger Shook, I'm Doug Amos. Hope you have a great weekend. Don't forget, it is our Patriots taking on Enterprise, 7 o'clock Friday night. You want to be there for it, and you want to be back here with us next Thursday night at 6 o'clock on Patriot Weekly.